Woo. Oh, woo. Oh, you are still forgivable. The fantastic Percy B bringing us into a beautiful November 1st. Good to be back. We've been away for a little while and we're coming back live. It's a great November morning. The rain has turned into snowflakes. I'm telling you, man. We're looking outside and getting a little chilly in here, and hopefully they'll be putting the heat on very soon because you can feel it now out there, and it brings us into what we're trying to accomplish during the months of November and December here. If you've been given the grace, if you at home have been given that beauty of recovery, and even if you're not in recovery, that good life and everything else going on, we ask you for your help. And so during the month of November and December, we're doing a can drive. You can call 561 1020 and help us as we are now collecting a can drive and a clothes drive, coats, gloves, winter gear. You can work with us, or also we're working with the For the Love of Good Foundation in this area. And I'll tell you something, they have become a godsend when it comes to um, the clothing drives and helping us with clothes. And we're working with them by giving them, if you want to drop off any type of winter gear or clothes or sweatshirts, these are in high demand. It's starting to get cold outside. And if you didn't know, there's a lot of people without shelter during these times and food. So we're helping Kate's Kitchen. You can bring your canned foods and non-perishable items to Kate's Kitchen, or drop them off here at Hope for Holyoke during normal business hours, and we will get them to them. That's how we maintain recovery, is by being humble and thinking of others before we think of ourselves. And so we are going through the process of doing that. Clothes and can drive. You can look up the For the Love of Good Foundation on Facebook. Debbie's a great woman. She's adamant and passionate about what she does here. They just picked up a bunch the other day. They take care of them, they clean them, then they redistribute them at different sites. So if you go on For the Love of Good, you'll see where they are at any particular day and time. And please, coats, hats, gloves, socks, underwear, paint, anything. Clean the closets out. And also non-perishable food items, because Kate's Kitchen was down to 0 cans of stuff. And that's the tough part, 0. And so we've helped redo that also with this can drive. So for the months of November and December, we're going to be doing a massive can and food drive, and also a clothes drive. So thank you very much. And remember, broken crayons still color. So if you feel broken, if you feel like you just don't belong, and you don't feel like you can do anything, remember that broken crayons still color. I love this foundation also. They're on Facebook, and so I support them by buying a hat. And they have sweatshirts and other items. So if you feel that way, you don't have to feel that way anymore. You can come down to Hope for Holyoke and see if we can help. We can't promise anything. We don't have the magic wand to recovery, but we do have some experience that lies within this building. On any given day, there'll be 100 years of recovery sitting in this building. So I think they might have some suggestions that you'll be able to take. And we want you to feel comfortable. And by doing that, we're able to help others. And we also have great corporate partnerships and community partnerships. And one of them is Reverend Helson and his wife Carmen. They are the magnificent duo. They bring in their crew, and Ricardo and his crew comes in also from their church. But Reverend Helson does 2 events in November, and I'm going to say them now so you can write them down. And the first one is Breakfast with Reverend Helson. You can find the information on our Facebook page. It's November 7th at 10 a.m. There'll be no morning motivation. It's right here. It's a prayer breakfast. We pray and eat and listen to the word. And Hope for Holyoke, 100 Suffolk Street, Holyoke, Mass. 413-561-1020 for more information. And you're probably going, man, the place is just religious. No, it's spiritual. Because any program will tell you the solution to your problem is altruistic. And that's trusting God, cleaning house, and helping others. So if you believe in a higher power, and you believe that the higher power is not you, and you believe in something greater than you, that's your spiritual. And so Reverend Helson comes in and prays about that. Non-denominational, he's a fantastic human being, and we love him dearly. And he'll be back on the 21st, Tuesday, with our Thanksgiving luncheon. We call it dinner. It's a meal and a message. It's he brings the message and the meal. And the crew of Reverend Helson will come in from 12 noon until 1 o'clock or so. And if you come in for the message, you're more than welcome to share in the meal. And no one is left outside. So please come on in on that day, and it'll be great. If you're reading our restream here, it's a great thing. And you can see up in the corner that we have a few things on top, and one is our calendar. So you'll be able to take a look at that. We also have different things coming across the bottom of the screen that you can see. Our hours of operation are coming across. Our new groups are coming in. We have a sign language group starting. People were asking for things like that. And so we want to make sure that we're able to benefit those individuals who are asking for many of the things that you're going to see. And so you're going to see sign language. You're going to see some new groups at night, new pathway groups. We have a lot of multiple pathway groups you may see, but that's important that people are able to discuss what they think is important in their lives. And today, what we think is important is to talk about a little bit about maintaining recovery. So if you're working every day on and going to meetings or coming to the center and doing morning motivation and all that great stuff, we're going to talk a little bit about one day at a time. If you're home at times and can't get here, check our meeting schedule. Brother John does his live shows just like this from his home. He's probably one of our most experienced members, and I love him dearly. A man of God and faith, and he's just fantastic. And we do a few other ones on Fridays, smoking. Now we're an authorized smoking tobacco educational center, so we're going to be doing that. And there's more to come. More people are going to be involved in passing the message on the Facebook. So if you ask yourself a question about what does it mean to live one day at a time, so just take a moment and ask yourself that question. What do we get? So if you're new to recovery, you're probably heard that living one day at a time is important in finding that's sustainable recovery, lasting every day. Uh, but if you wondered why, this is the one of the key sayings. This article that I'm about to share, portion of an article, can help you understand how it can make a really big difference in your life. So we're going to share a little bit from an article that I brought up today, and then I'll share my experiences also on the subject. So when we look back at the one day at a time saying, we have to look at the the original beginnings of recovery, which goes all the way back into the Washingtonians and the Oxford group. And long before you ever heard of AA or NA, there was a process of this recovery process. And living in one day at a time meant that, the Washingtonians were great. They had thousands of people involved in a temperate society, not drinking, but they were charging money, and money becomes funny when you talk about recovery. And they eventually died from within. So when we talk about one day at a time, it originates from within. My one day at a time is different than yours, probably. We can look at the same origin, we can look at the same meanings, but when it comes to the one day at a time, we might find out that when we look at the substance of one day at a time, it means more about the way that we look at ourselves and our day. So remember, you can go into the chat if you want. You can leave me some messages. You can, and I'll get to them as soon as possible. And it's live chat, so please keep your comments clean and nice. So the beginnings in 1935, because I'm an AA guy, but I'm also a multiple pathways guy. Between the two people, Dr. Bob and Bill Wilson, initially men used the principles of this one day at a time to help those that they helped in hospitals. And when they were helping people in the hospitals through addictions in Ohio, they finally started to get assistance. It started to take off, this movement, this altruistic movement. And they finally were assisting about 100 people locally in their area. And so Bill W., who was the founder with Dr. Bob of Alcoholics Anonymous, wrote recovery principles down in a book called Alcoholics Anonymous. It's called the Big Book. And the Big Book is called the Big Book because they used giant pulp paper at the time, the cheapest paper they could find, they used. And what it did was it made it very puffy and big. So the book was big, so they referred it to the Big Book. And that became the foundation of the 12-step program that we know now as Alcoholics Anonymous, which then NA came into the process, and Narcotics Anonymous was created, I believe, in 1985. And that took off to help people who are suffering from narcotics addiction. And so now you utilize that, and over time, there's 500 different 12-step programs in the world. If for cell phones, eating glass, there's people who cannot stop doing things. And so they create their own 12-step programs. But each program, except the agnostics, but they believe in something. My dad used to say, everybody, including the agnostics in a foxhole, pray to God. And so every group found that having a higher power or a foundation to that higher power was a solution to being able to let go of their own beliefs and their own way to control their recoveries. So every morning, we'll talk a little bit about this now. That when we get up in the morning, we may do things differently. We may pray differently. We may ask for help differently. But if you're asking for God to help you and take control of the day and do His will, not mine, in the third step, um, then we're asking God to really guide us through the day and relinquish us of control to make good decisions, to think things through, to act and watch our mouths and things in that nature where um, humility pops in and experience, strength, and hope pops in on every day. If you walk into a CVS to get a coffee and the lady behind the counter is kind of off that day, yeah, here's your change. Maybe just you know what? I hope you get over what you're going through. Have a nice day. God bless you. Or are you okay? Someone taking an interest in someone's life. It doesn't have to be in a room full of alcoholics or narcotics, drug addicts or anything. Or I hate using that word, but people of addiction, we'll say, and it doesn't have to be that. It can be anywhere. It can be for people who aren't in these rooms, grabbing a grocery bag from somebody and saying, walking a person across the street. Those are values that we grew up with, some of us. And we lose that when alcohol becomes the most important, alcohol and drugs and other things become the most important thing in our lives. We become slaves, man. Slaves. So the AA guidebook, Living Sober, it's a great book for newcomers. We're going to be using it a lot during our noontime live meetings. Now, um, explains the importance of focusing on one day at a time in recovery. And I'm only going to read an excerpt of it. And it says, although we realize that alcoholism is a permanent, irreversible condition. Let's stop there. Let's talk about permanent, irreversible condition. So why do people come in and stay sober for a little while and then go back out and go drinking again? Because why? Because the next line says our experience has taught us to make no long-term promises about staying sober. So I'm a man in long-term recovery, and that means I didn't drink and die today. But today is the day that I have to treat like every other day yesterday. There's days I don't do that. There's days that I live in my own crap. I just am not friendly or kind and yelling and screaming. And then I find that that's not God's way. That's Kevin's way. Kevin is not here to pass that message. He's here to look at the solution, not the problem. So every solution does have a problem. When we find it more realistic and more successful to say, I am not taking that drink just for today. I'm not taking that drug just for today. Today, I'm not going to go put money into the slot machine just for today. I'm not going to buy scratch tickets just for today. I'm not going to do things that I shouldn't be watching, not for today. One day at a time. It's not smashing the whole thing, glass pane, but for one day, not for today. Harm reduction asks us to maybe go, I'm only going to do this much today or that much and wean ourselves down. I'm only going to have one cigarette today. I'm only have two. But abstinence, the true foundation of recovery in some incidences, is I'm not going to do it just for today. Can you do it alone? Can you process the information alone? Is God going to be enough for you? God may put you in places to help you find other people that are just like you. So even if we drank yesterday, we could plan not to drink today. Many people say, I'm not drinking no more tomorrow. I've done it myself, and then when the hangover leaves, I'm done. I'm doing it again. And I don't know why, because I really consciously wanted not to do it. So that's why the grace, that gift, is so important. The importance of being able to know that you were given something that I don't want to give back. Thank you, Lord, for that grace, for that gift. And the reason I'm not staying on the tracks waiting for the train to hit me is because I don't go there. So for that one day, I'm not going into any place that I think that may be a trigger. For that one day, I'm not going this way home. For that one day, I'm going to stay away from here. For this one day. And tomorrow, I'll say the same thing. Because the routine of recovery has to be consistent. It really does. But for these 24 hours, we decide not to drink, use drugs, gamble, smoke, look at things that we shouldn't be looking at online. There are a lot of situations. So living sober finishes, no matter what the temptation or provocation, we determine to go to any extremes necessary to avoid a drink or drug or cigarette or gamble. Because that's what they ask you in any program. When you find a sponsor or a coach or whatever, are you willing to go to links? Any links? So affirmation of this process can boost your mental health by increasing the positivity in your life. It's shown that positive thinking improves physical and mental well-being. What's that? What is that? You're using big words. I know. The simplicity of it is, if we want to change our life, we change our mind. And to change our mind, we need to find other things to take the places that used to take those little Remax rental signs in your head that you see in the front yards. House for sale. They're all in my head. I can't get them out. Yes, you can. Positivity will release that. Improve thinking. Volunteering at a local recovery center in a group. Joining an AA group, joining a recovery center, joining a gymnasium. Find your pathway, and you will find that behaviors will change. There'll be an interference in there. Wow, I'm feeling better. Maybe this stuff works. Maybe my life is easier than sticking a needle in my arm in an alleyway next to a recovery center. And then finding yourself on the ground. And thank God, people around you were able to find you and help you. It happens every day in every alley, in every place. Holyoke is finding its way into the top 5. Springfield, I was watching a video last night, and Springfield is the #1 most dangerous city in Massachusetts now. Holyoke is ranked in there too. We're losing the battle. Doesn't mean that we can't keep fighting, that we can't keep fighting this battle. You know, when I got sober, they said 1 out of 35 people will get sober and stay sober for a year or more. 1 out of 35. Do you imagine what those odds are now? 1 out of 200? It's a crazy thing that we're going through right now, and we need to be together in this battle, or we're gonna lose it all. So by taking recovery one day at a time with the program and pathway you choose, you make recovery about a daily victory. It's not about, oh man, this, yeah, it's, you're going to feel it for a little while. You're going to be in sick bay. But then you're out in the firing lines in the field, and the victory that you feel every single day is worth every penny of the fight that you put into it. To achieve that manageable life that's worth celebrating, every day's a celebration. You set yourself up for daily success and stop worrying about the potential relapse. And now you're living to help others to find that solution that you got. Isn't that amazing? It's how simple it is. Live in fear, live in God, live in fear, live in God. If I live in my higher power, which I call my God, my creator, and I trust that with all my heart that he's going to make it better, then I don't live in fear. I'm not chasing everything that I need for that day. I'm not. I'm not on the streets. I'm not a young lady selling my body. I'm not standing in alleyways or in doorways or sleeping in the cold. But there has to be a start. And that's why I came out and I'm asking for people to help with the clothes and the coats. It starts somewhere. It starts by an at random act of kindness for that one day. Help people. Instead of turning away when you're walking down the street and that guy's coming up and you continue to little, and then you have to cross the street because you don't want to pass the guy and say hi. F that, man. Pass the guy and say hi because he's a human being who needs help. They're human beings who need help. They're not junkies and dope heads and every other word that people want to call us and the stigma. They're not. They're human beings that need help. And if you've ever suffered through that, and if you're not a drinker or a user and you're watching this, thank you for coming in and pass that message. Because if you had someone in your life that suffers from addiction, you'll understand the passion I'm saying right now. It's been a while since I've been on this channel, so I'm off and running. We want to succeed. We want people to succeed. God, every day some of us go home and it hadn't been a good day. We lost another one. I want to make it so that we won another one. Person keeps coming back. So they ask about meditation. And any words to repeat, you stay mindful in the day. But if you ask God for help in the morning and you go really, really say it with all the love you can muster, take a moment just to sit there and say, what do you got to say to me today? Look at life in a different manner. Psychic change is needed, it says in the big book. We need to change our thoughts and our thinking. We need to replace the negative with the positive. We can improve our mental health. We can regulate those behavior patterns. We can stay away from everything. The proven fact I'm going to share with you now, and it's proof. Brought to you by Bustelo, Cafe Bustelo. Alcohol and drugs leave your system within 5 days. You're sober within 5 days. After the 5 days, you'll go through a little bit of what you'll go through some of that phase where you're sick and you don't feel well, but you're relieved of alcohol and drugs in your system. It's a mental now. It's in the brain. And if you continue to come back to this same environment over and over again after you go to treatment, you will 99% of the time relapse. If you continue your path outside that environment, you still can find it anywhere you go today, on a street corner anywhere, even in Alaska, in an igloo with an Eskimo, he's probably got some stuff to do. But by giving you an opportunity to go into a different environment and learning to be able to handle yourself on a 24-hour basis, you're not responsible for anyone else. All you can do is take care of thy own self be true. It says that for a reason. Thy own self be true. Not that I need to make you true. I can give you my experience, my pain, my hope. You can give a person hope. You can't give them willingness. So we look at that one day at a time, and we look at it and we say, positive affirmations can be used. Look at the big book. Out of my brain, I'm looking at the words that mean that. Love, peace, they're positive. Not hate, not discrimination, not stigma. Love and peace, man. So repeat these words over and over again. Stop looking at your shoes. I knew everybody's name by their shoes because I was afraid to look them in the eye. It's time to look people in the eye. And people look us in the eye and understand what we're going through. Not everyone on the corners. There's the homeless problem in our state is tremendous. Homeless families is tremendous. I think it was 6,000 people just in our general Holyoke area. You know, Holyoke, Springfield, living in tents. Something has to be done. And they are working hard. Holyoke does not have a shelter. It's getting cold again. The shelters are going to be filled, and the houses are going to be filled, and people are going to freeze to death. That's the bottom line. I'm not making this some political thing either today, but I'm telling you, together we can do more as one, led by the one and only. There's a way to do things right and a way to do things wrong. So one day at a time is about learning to do things right. Let go, let God. All those bumper stickers you see on the back of the cars is how we live. One day at a time. Let go, let God. Don't think, but turn it upside down because we don't want to think. While one day at a time was one of the best known sayings ever, it's also a major principle of mindfulness. As noted, mindfulness is important in recovery. I'm not a rocket scientist. I just studied the book. So when something comes up, I have a solution. And if I don't, I look it up. Instead of experience shame, guilt, remorse, and all those things that in the past that would make me go right out, I'm learning to live in the moment. For 24 hours, I will not use or abuse a substance, a thing, or a place, or a person. I'm not powerless over any of them. I have power beyond measure. I just don't know how to use it. So when I talk to people about working and achieving and maintaining the sobriety, I'm talking about whether or not they are triggered to drink or use drugs or gamble or smoke when they experience overwhelming negative emotions. That's such a shame. Shame is a killer. You look pride on the deadly sins, look up the 7 deadly sins. So not drinking during the upcoming day is just one way to work through your steps, remaining positive, even challenging moments, remaining positive, finding self-love and affirmation and why you're worth the love that you find. Embrace a mindfulness of practice. Find a meaningful way of life. Remember, staying present isn't as simple as repeating sayings over and over again. That's not going to do it, man. It's going to help. It involves waking up every day and staying open to doing God's work or your higher power's work. And another AA saying, it goes, nothing changes if nothing changes. And that's on another show. We're going to do that. But by staying focused on a short list of days to day goals, I think it's wonderful that, we'll be able to honestly look at things that find our way into not allowing us to be useful to our fellows. Talk therapy for addiction, embracing principles, talking to people, going to groups, maintaining that 24-hour life, calling 561-1020, put a 413 in front of it, find out what Hope for Holyoke can do for you, going to the Hope for Holyoke Facebook page, downloading our app into your phone, having the information and schedules available, having links to other areas, keeping phone numbers of people that you can talk to. Whoa, that's a lot of work, man. That's a lot of work. Is it? Is it a lot of work? How much is your life worth? How much are you worth? How many people are praying for you right now and you don't even know it or think about it? Thanks to all our community partners that support us during the years, such as Big Y, Foods of South Hadley, who bring our food for our less fortunate individuals. We put out some snacks during meetings, and we also donate to Kate's Kitchen. We also thank the For the Love of Good Foundation. It's Debbie and her work keeping our friend Kevin Jocelyn's life alive. A good friend of mine who passed away doing God's work. And Debbie is now taken over. And if you're looking for some clothing articles or you want to donate your clothes to them, please. For the Love of Good Foundation, they're on Facebook. And you can get a hold of Debbie and she'll come get them. As you see on our Facebook page, Hope for Holyoke, you'll see her coming all the time. So Steve Sports of West Springfield, good friend of ours, does our clothing. Kate's Kitchen of Holyoke, please, they're in need of canned food, non-perishable items. It's going to get cold. People are hungry. And so they put on their meals and they look at people in the public to help them out. So please help. Suit Up Springfield, Dress to Success, fabulous, fabulous organizations that help people with clothing. And our host agency, the Nindara Center in Springfield, BSAS, who helps fund us. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. We want to carry the message. We don't want to carry the problem. So if you're looking to volunteer and carry that message, please follow us on Facebook. Give us a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out some of the funny videos and puppet shows we do. Or come see us every day, Hope for Holyoke, 100 Suffolk Street. We're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 7 at night, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturdays, 8 to 4. Sundays, 8 to 3. So if you want to be part of that and much more, you can do that by joining us right here on Facebook Live. Support our shows and give us a thumbs up, and you'll find all the flyers and things needed. From all of us here, my name's Kevin. I'm glad I was with you today. I hope I didn't go a little crazy. But we want to send our love and respect to each and every person. And those battling a substance abuse issue, you're not alone. You don't have to be alone. Come on in, check us out. God bless you all. Have a great day. Bye now.